Hey guys, look! I got new shelves! They're so pretty and wonderful and I love them so much. Yes. Anyways, the real reason we're here is because I'm doing my January wrap-up. I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in January. I read a total of 8 books in January and a short story novella type thing. So let's get to talking about the books I read. Ha 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 ha! The first book that I read was Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robyn Sloan. I read this book with Ariel Bissett and Dylan from Dylan Books. This is about a guy who is struggling financially and he finds a job opportunity at the 24-Hour Bookstore, Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore. And basically he gets the night shift, and as he begins to work at the store, he starts to realize that there's something mysterious going on with this bookstore. Not only about the books within the bookstore, but the customers that are coming into the bookstore, and so he takes it upon himself to solve this mystery. This story is epic. One thing that I love so much about the story is that there's all these design and typography elements throughout the story, and that was just really fun being kind of a graphic designer nerd. I don't do graphic design that much, but I really appreciate graphic design and typography and different things like that, so that was such a fun element to have in this story. Overall, the story is mysterious, engaging, and adventurous, and I loved it so much I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely check it out if you mostly read YA and are interested in getting into more adult novels. This book is perfect for you. The next few books I'm not going to go into full detail necessarily because I already did a wrap-up, because these books are the ones that I read throughout the Bout of Books readathon. The first book that I read is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. You guys already know my feels on this book. I love it so much. It's so good. I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars again. This is my 5th time rereading it, and I loved it even more the 5th time I read it, so yeah. And then I read Frost by Mariana Baer. I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I had a lot of fun reading this book, but there were just some things that I had problems with. There were a few characters that bugged me in this book, and there were some things at the end of the book that I felt needed to be explained more, but I definitely had a fun time reading this book, and I read it in one day. And then I read Vicious by Ve Schwab. As you guys know, I've been raving about this book. It is amazing, and I don't mean to overhype it, but it's really good. It's really, really good, and I love it so much. It's action-packed, it's exciting, it's thrilling, it's all these amazing things, and it's just incredible. Definitely pick up this book if you get the chance. Again, this is also a great book to read if you mostly read YA and are trying to get into adult books. I would definitely pick up Vicious by Ve Schwab. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read the short story / novella Warm Up by Ve Schwab. Again, I love this. I read this after I read Vicious, but you can read it before, and I really enjoyed reading it after the book because I was having withdrawals from the world. So it was nice to get back into that world for just a little bit. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read one of my most anticipated reads of 2014, and that is Hollow City by Ransom. It's still weird to have this in my hands. It's still weird looking at it on my shelf because I've been waiting for so long for this book. And it did not disappoint. It was amazing. It was so much better than Miss Peregrine's, which is really hard for me to say, but it was like a complete step up. It's so much more exciting, and the thing that I love so much about this book is that you get to explore the characters even more than you did in the first novel, and I loved that. I loved getting to know the characters so much more, and also it's just so much more action-packed and adventurous and creepy. The pictures in this book are terrifying, more terrifying than the ones in Miss Peregrine's, and I loved that about this book. I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read The Golden Compass by Phillip Pullman. I had to read this for my children's literature class. I really didn't like this book, unfortunately. I really didn't like the main character, Lyra, though at the end I started to like her a bit more, but still it was very frustrating. Also, I feel like there are things at the beginning of the book that the author leaves to explain till later in the book, and I feel like he kind of needed to explain the things right off the bat, but he didn't. So, I don't know, I had a lot of problems with this book. I will leave my Goodreads review down below. I go into more detail there, but yeah, I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. And then I read The Dark by Lemony Snicket and illustrated by John Classen, and I actually read this right before bed. I felt like a little kid again. I was reading a little picture book, and it was fun. I actually really love this story. It's got a very powerful message of overcoming your fears, and I really love that about it. And I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I love pretty much everything Lemony Snicket does. And then I read The Unbound by Ve Schwab, another one of my most anticipated 2014 releases, and oh my heck, I love this book so much. I cannot even tell you. It was amazing, and it was so good to be back into the archived world that I love so much, and I really want another book in this series. Victoria just puts so many different elements inside of her stories and so many different mysteries, and it all ties together so nicely in the end, and I love that about it. And also, the characters are just so lovable. I just love them so much, and I just need a third book. I need a third book so badly. And it's not that this story wasn't satisfying in the end and that it wasn't tied up, it was, but I just want more books from this world. And I know that Victoria has it in her to write another book, but I know that the publishing company is kind of holding off on it and just waiting to see how well the archive does. So if you get the chance, go buy the archive because I want a third book. So yeah, those are all the books that I read in January. You guys should let me know down below if you have read any of the books that I read, or if you plan to. Also let me know some of the books that you read in the month of January. I'll see you guys soon with another video.